Hello and welcome to the Verse series. This is a collaboration between IDEM and the O Trust. You might be aware that IDEM is a platform, it's an alternative media platform that does in-depth analyses and unique features on topics as broad and as varied as politics, cinema, art and culture, and society. The O Trust, that was founded in 2021, tries to bridge the gap between art and science. It tries to address issues that artists face, especially livelihood issues, the gender issues, socio-economic issues, the dwindling of connoisseurs and enthusiasts, and it works for artists, and it works to, like I said, bridge the gap between art and science. And O, the syllable O, is philosophy, it is nothingness, it is uniqueness. So the Verse series is an initiative, it's a joint collaboration between these two, and today in our interview I'm honored to introduce and welcome you all to Miss Rashmi Ghosh. Rashmi Ghosh was a chartered accountant, and she is today a visual artist, which was her lifelong passion. In fact, she has been featured in group exhibitions as well as solo exhibitions in India and abroad. Currently, she is working on a fascinating project, and that is what we're going to talk about today. And the project is called Mapping Stepwells, a Visual Narrative. In fact, she had her exhibition in Pune recently. She was felicitated by the Chancellor of Pune, if I'm not mistaken. And it's fascinating, it's unique to India. This is something I did not know. To hear more, let's speak to Rashmi. Rashmi, thank you so much for taking out time to speak to the Verse series.
Thank you, Nilanjana, for having me here. I'm looking very excited to have this talk with you.
Great. So let's start from the beginning. I'm not going to go, from your chartered accountant to your artistry days, but the beginning of your love and your fascination for stairwells. I believe this happened as an adult when you visited the Vijayanagar Empire. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
See, we had this COVID and we couldn't travel. So me and my friend, we got into a car and our driver took us to Hampi, so which we had planned to visit. And during our trip there, the guide showed us the Pushkarnis. Now these are the steep ponds. Now this was very unique because I belong from West Bengal, where there are a lot of water tanks and lakes all over. But here I saw there was a big parade of steps right all across, on all the four sides. So you had steps leading to the water. That means you could reach the water level from any side, and they followed a particular design. Now NC, when I was teaching as a professor, and I was talking to my students about fractal geometry, which there's a little bit of fractal geometry in share valuation when we talk about securities and portfolio management. So the same concept kept repeating to me, and I was very intrigued. So when I came back, being from an academic and a researcher background, I started researching on that both online and offline, and I found that these are very unique geometrical features, and this particular stepwell archaeology or the architecture is very unique to India. This has not been covered or not been found anywhere in the world, and this has unfortunately become an endangered species in India because we are not taking good care of it. They are getting lost, they are crumbling to dust as we speak, which actually saddens me.
Of course. We will talk about conservation efforts and what more needs to be done, but let's talk about you and your your approach to this entire thing. You just talked about how you were a professor and how you talked of so like I just said, bridges art and science. You have also been very research oriented in your approach to the stairwell. It's not just a structure for you that you want to paint. It is much more. It is much more research. It is much more academia. Tell us a little bit about that. Why this approach?
Well, I would give credit to my mentor, Ashish Pai of Kala Nirvana, because first time when we were talking about drawing, he said, Rashmi, have you researched on this? Now that question really shook me up. I said, no. He said, no, you need to research, because then you will become a better artist. So that I kept that in mind. So for every project I've researched. See, before I took up Stepwells, I did a art project on Rajasthan. I called it as Nostalgia Rajasthan, because we were missing travels during COVID. And then from there I went into Cosmic Connections, where I studied about patterns in nature, flowers and leaves and others. And this pattern of, like I was telling, the fractal geometry exhibited in the steps, that really brought me here, because I have seen tanks like everywhere, whether in West Bengal or in Kerala. My husband came from Kerala. I've seen tanks, but there are steps leading, say maybe, this side and the other side. But such beautiful stepways which were there in the Pushkarni, and next to it there were pavilions with pillars, and the beautiful this thing. Of course they were in ruins somewhere, but you could make out that they had a very unique science and technology, and they were well versed in this process of water conservation methods. So this really fascinated me.
So let's talk a little bit about your research and what you have found out. How many stepwells are there in our country? Is it unique to India? Are there stepwells outside? Because obviously Indian influence has traveled. The most important being Buddhism, but besides that also a lot of Indian influences have traveled all over the world. Tell us a little bit about that. How many stepwells are there? How many exist? And have you tracked down any that were not listed by, say, the government?
Yeah, see, the answer to this question is, I don't think anybody can tell you how many stepwells are there, because I come from Maharashtra, and I believe there are 20,000 stepwells in Maharashtra.
In Maharashtra?
20,000, and they are still getting excavated, because every summer season the villagers are desperately trying to look for water source. So when they dig deep, they find some stepwell or the other. That is what a gentleman at Kara told me. And there is a thing called a Stepwell Atlas. It's an app that is available free of cost. Anybody can download from Google Play Store. And that lists the stepwells. I mean, those who have been documented, and people have put it on the Google map. But there are stepwells. It has gone up to Pakistan, Afghanistan. Few are remaining, and somewhere few in Jammu and Kashmir, Himachal Pradesh, but mostly in the dry regions of India, the central, the western part, and up to the south, up to Tamil Nadu. Some in Sri Lanka also. At least I saw 5 or 6 of them. Orissa. Not in West Bengal, because there are a lot of water bodies.
The Pukur, as we
call
it.
Right, the lakes and the Pukurs. And not in Kerala also, because Kerala has a lot of water sources.
Right.
And I don't think in the north eastern, because there are a lot of hills and a lot of streams and water bodies. So somehow, you know what, that's my theory. I feel because of this, we were conversant in managing water, in managing this rainwater harvesting thing. So our, the civilization has continued right from Indus Valley till date. So when you really get to see during the Harappan or the Indus Valley or the Saraswati Valley civilization, you will have the Greek, the Egyptian and the Mesopotamian. Now they have gone, so we only know about them from the ruins. But here there's a continuous flow of civilization right from the ancient times to this, and this, our art, culture, our food habits, our rituals, they are like what our ancestors followed, and this is what we have continued till date. So isn't it unique? Now water leads to everything, without water there's no life.
Yes. And you said we were conversant. So, you started with that. I want to ask you, who is we? Is it a particular dynasty? Is it a particular ruler that started this? Or is it right from Harappa and people just continued to do it? I mean,
it's right from Harappa, because we have found ruins in Rakhigiri and in Lothal. but still excavations are going on in Harappa, and I feel the archaeologists will come up and tell us more about them. But there were some Ashoka scriptures where he has written in stone, his inscriptions, where he has said that he makes stepwell on the roads where people travel, say at a distance of 21 miles, so that the travelers can rest at these places. And he said ki this is not what I started, this was started from beginning. There were many kings who, it's a common practice, it's a kind of a noble thing to do, where kings and queens used to do for the common people. And but Ashoka, he was there for up to 200, and his reign was up to 232 before current era. So we really, there are no documentation as such, whether who has built it, who started with this, I think they evolved.
Okay.
They evolve because the oldest ones are the rock cut stepwells, and there is one in Junagadh, Gujarat, that is Adi Kadi, and that is just a rudimentary kind of, so it just evolved, and then it started with the Buddhists and the Jains. The Buddhists and the Jains, because they were there in Rajasthan and Gujarat, present day Rajasthan and Gujarat, and then they used to have pavilions on top of the stepwells made out of wood, but they later realized wood is not long lasting because it is subject to fire. Then the Hindu sthaptyas, those who were engaged in making temples, they came into this picture because they wanted to have, because Hinduism started reviving after Buddhism and Jainism, and the Hindus believed they had to have a water body next to the temple. So whatever form of architecture or planning they did for the temple, the same way they did for the stepwells. The only difference is stepwells are dug deep into the water. So this is the amazing thing about stepwell is, see, every architecture we look up, right? To see Eiffel Tower we look up, to see any huge tower we look up, but here is something which I look down, and that is sometimes very scary, because there are certain stepwells in Karad where the first time I went, my head started reeling and I sat down. It was so deep and it was so tilted.
Oh, the steepness.
And the very steepness, and just the black granite stones or the basalt stones. It really shook me up, and I had to literally, ground myself, sit down. And I ventured, I had the confidence to go inside or walk down in my next trip to that.
Let's talk about your trips. You have covered several states, Karnataka, Maharashtra, Gujarat, Andhra Pradesh. Delhi, of course. Yeah, of course. Agrasen Ki Baoli and the ones in Mehrauli.
Right? Rajasthan, Gujarat.
What else? What is missing?
Where are you Karnataka going? And...
you started with Karnataka.
Yeah. And Andhra Pradesh, Haryana.
No, where are you going? Which is what is there on your list which you still haven't
visited? Since I'm in Delhi, I'll naturally visit 5 or 6 stepwells. That is my agenda here. And I'm planning a trip to again Gujarat and Rajasthan beginning of next year. Because see, when you go to a state, you can't cover every stepwell in your first visit. And there are certain stepwells you would like to visit again. And there are certain steps where the local guide tells me, ma'am, go and see this. Nobody knows about it, but you go and see this. This is nice. So this, I think it's an evolving process, because more and more stepwells are getting discovered, and I'm happy to say lot of interest are being garnered. So whenever I go and I post it on my social media, so have people, bloggers or friends, and say, no, we have visited this, why don't you go and see it? It has a unique architecture. So I get a lot of also help from people like this.
In fact, in your project, in your work, you have talked about the oral histories, you have talked about folklore surrounding that particular stepwell. What do they talk about? Do they talk about water conservation? Do they talk about the history of the gossip of the royals? What is it? What do they talk about?
See, the oral history says that the noblemen, the kings and the queens both made commissioned stepwells, whereas in Gujarat and Rajasthan there were more of the duty of the queens. So I would say they were the KRA, like the modern day KRA, the queen had to do it because
Awesome.
she represented a goddess for her people, and a goddess duty is to provide water for her community. So there are many stepwells, and the stepwells have unique characteristics. See, when the Hindus came up and they naturally they started putting sculptures, and you started having the sculptures or the deities there. So mostly started with the Naga, the cobra, the serpent, or the Mahishasura Mardini, the goddess Durga destroying the Asura Mahishasur, who is in the form of a water buffalo, and then the Navagrahas, and then there were some dedicated to the Hindu pantheon like Brahma, Vishnu and Maheshwar, and some mostly in Maharashtra you have the deities of either Shiva or Ganesha, mostly Shiva, Lord Shiva with the Nandi, the bull, facing the stepwell. And so each stepwell had a beautiful characteristic, like the Rani Ki Vav at Patan, made by Queen Udaymati. So she is, I believe, like whatever we can see from the sculptures, she has 500 sculptures there, and they depict not only the gods, they depict the women, somebody applying lipstick and somebody taking a thorn out from her feet, or some with different hairdos. So it reflects the culture of the people.
You learn a lot about the life of the people there,
Yeah.
and their daily chores and activities.
Yeah.
What about, can you give me a comparison between the stepwells that you've talked about and the Islamic architecture stepwells, the hammams I think they are called? So did they learn from us and make the stepwells,
Yeah.
the hammams? How does it work? Yeah.
See, that I won't know, because hammams are totally different.
How?
They are just the community places where people just go take a bath.
Okay.
So then you have lot of treatments there. Maybe that was meant for treating the people. But when these Muslim invaders came to India, they realized the importance of stepwells. So they destroyed the temples, but they didn't destroy the stepwell, because they needed water for their huge armies. And then when they started conquering, they wanted to build more stepwell, because naturally they wanted to win over the people, and they used the same sculpturers, but they told the sculpturer that no more gods and goddesses will be displayed, use geometrical designs. So we have the Adalat stepwell in near Ahmedabad in Gujarat. Has very beautiful decorations. It has the tree of life. So I have taken it as an iconographic study in my charcoal sketches, and the Adalat has beautiful decorative things, so which has also influenced the patola saris of Ahmedabad. So we really don't know whether the sari came first or the design at the stepwell, or maybe I can say maybe the design at the stepwell prompted the sari weavers to take up those designs. So they're very unique. So the Hindu-Islamic fusion wells, that is what Mona Livingston, she has written in a book, Steps to Water. So we find it in these Muslim structures, and they had their own. In fact, the stepwells were used by these Muslims to have the cultural spaces. So I can imagine, King Akbar sitting at a stepwell and Tansin singing to him, and the huge, Persian carpets and chandeliers, and they were well decorated and all that. They also served as cultural spaces, because naturally in those days they didn't have, amphitheaters, or they didn't have. And the stepwell actually makes that area cooler in the evening. So the water rises and it cools the place.
So as a visual artist, you use a lot of multimedia, right? So tell us a little bit about your approach and how you represent these stepwells in your art form. How do you do it exactly? What different styles do you merge? Tell us a little bit about that.
See, I firstly visit them. I take a lot of photographs, and I take close-ups. The close-ups, the iconographies and symbolism are an inspiration for my charcoal sketches. And my paintings I've used mediums like oils, acrylics. I've used jute, because I find I think being a Bengali, I'm very attached to jute, and it helped me to give the structure, the helical structure of Champaner, which is very unique. It's like a spiral shape. Now that I was studying, it is very difficult to build a spiral shaped staircase in a round well, a deep round well.
I'm sure.
Yeah. So and then I have used I take my team to the stepwells. So we've done drone shots because I wanted to see how the stepwell look from top. There's a very unique stepwell near Pune, which is at Talegaon Dhaba, which is in the shape of a key, a chabi. And there's another stepwell which is in the shape of a sword. So that is a
It's a stepwell. How do they? I mean, I can't even imagine it. Must be beautiful. So this is like a top shot that you're talking about.
We are top shot when you take, then
Take it from
only
the
you
drone.
get
Yes.
you get
When
the
you're
shape.
standing there, you can't make out.
You can't make up. You heard about it,
Of course.
but I wanted to prove it. So I told my person, you have to take drone shots.
Lovely.
And the one which is sword, which is talwar shape, it is cut into the the mountains. So it's a very beautiful trekking spot. I mean, this.
So beautiful. I mean, this is something so unique that you're talking about.
That's what, and see, this everything is so inspirational for an artist.
Yes.
See, they have used uncut rocks, so that gives a lot of texture to an artist. So it gives me a lot of inspiration. I can use a lot of textured elements into it.
Right.
And the shapes are unique. They are L shapes. So L shape actually, you can have lot of things in that space. Then you have round, you have circular, you have oval shape, you have rectangular, you have square. Then some stepwells have one opening, 2, 3, up to 4 openings. Some that Champaner helical shape, that's only one. But in Parbhani district in Maharashtra, which I have not yet visited, there are 8 helicals. So it is like a fractal. I mean, it looks like a lotus. When you take it from top, it looks like the petals of a lotus opening up.
How beautiful.
That's what I'm
is
saying,
that?
ki-
I mean, this kind
No,
of.
I keep asking,
Yeah.
I keep asking, that is why my question is, how did they manage to make these structures by using only a hammer and chisel
So many years ago, thousands of
years ago, and they removed the earth by women used to do that, they used to carry the earth away. And it is so precise, geometrically precise. In fact, the base of the stepwell, just like the temples, are in the mandala shape. I am very much interested in mandala. It is like a center originating to outside. So the whole thing keeps repeating and replicating.
Right.
So that gives much, and these stepwells are like inverted pyramids going right deep into the water. So, and it may be 3-story, 4-story, Rani Ki Vav is 8 stories deep. It's amazing.
I know. Just imagining constructing it is amazing. So tell me, you started a bit earlier. You started by saying that these are dying. These are not. We'll come to that. But then you are playing such an important role in reviving it, getting people to know about it, spreading awareness amongst people. Tell us about the response that your exhibitions have had. Are you happy? Are you not satisfied? What more needs to be done, you think?
See, I had my first exhibition now, which was titled Mapping of Stepwells, a visual narrative. It was curated by Nalini Malviya from Bangalore. She writes on art. So, this was very well covered by press, both in Pune, within Pune city, and at the national levels also. And because of the coverage, we had lot of these travel enthusiasts, heritage lovers, people who like the art and culture aspects of it. There are many people in Pune like that. The students from architecture colleges visited it, from schools visited it. But somehow, since this is something new which I did, people thought it was more of a museum kind of a thing, where because we had photographs, we had paintings, we had art installation, we had video installation which was going on in a TV on the side. Then we had the storyboard, we have my maps. So multimedia kind of thing. But some people, though they asked about the price of the paintings, some of them thought maybe, you couldn't buy them. So we had to literally tell them that these are for sale, because I need funding for my project. So this, I feel, it's a self-funding mode that I've got into.
Right, Right. And from your research and from your studies, your travels, tell us a little bit about the conservation efforts. Who are actually upkeep? Who is responsible for the upkeep and the maintenance of these? Because you said they're crumbling to dust. So let's talk about
Some
that
of
a
them
little
are.
bit. Yeah.
States like Gujarat and Rajasthan have done a commendable work on preservation of stepwells because they are very much into tourism. So their tourist guides take people around, and you have certain heritage walks or you have tours around the stepwells. Then we move on to not so much in Rajasthan, but in Maharashtra, my state. We had a person who started the Maharashtra Bharav Mohim. So he started after this COVID. He went around on his bike and he went to so many villages. He mapped the stepwells. He persuaded the local people to clean them. They had this Deepotsav on Diwali day. But I think now he's left the campaign, so I don't know much about it. Then there's a lady called Kalpana Ramesh in Hyderabad, where she, under her rainwater project,
Is this an NGO?
She has an NGO. So they have also revived a lot of stepwells, and stepwell, like a special mention must be made of Banasilal Pet in Hyderabad, where they have water in the stepwell, and they have these cultural programs, dance programs on the steps. In the evening, there's a exhibition space where art is exhibited. So it has been used as cultural spaces. In fact, I must tell you here that 4 of my paintings in this series was exhibited last year, before the solo exhibition, at the India Art and Architecture Biennale in Red Fort, Delhi, where Narendra Modi ji inaugurated it. So there was a big, huge panel discussion, and I was very fortunate to listen to people. So a lot of architects have worked, they've done, they have taken inspiration from the stepwells and all that. And there is one architect, he has talked about, he has worked on sound effect. So these stepwells also had acoustic.
I'm sure.
So I am really surprised that this seems to be a construct of people who are extremely intelligent, who knew about science, technology, water conservation, architecture, geography, geology, everything. And they didn't tamper with nature, they didn't blast. And they went with the flow of the water. The water always moves from higher to lower level. So they created stepwells where there's an access near the river bed, or you have canals into it, or you have a big huge lake which supplies water to the stepwell. So they worked with nature.
Listening to you and listening to your passion, it's phenomenal. It's phenomenal, seriously. Tell me, do you think, you talked about the response it got. Do you think this needs to go abroad and more work will happen, more interest, and then subsequently more funding into the upkeep? Because Archaeological Survey of India, I believe, needs a lot of money to upkeep these stairwells.
In fact, it has gone abroad one of my painting was a part of a visual exhibition. I'm a part of a group of artists called Art Next Level. It's a brainchild of Sergio Gomez, who is now in Florida, USA, in Miami. And he and Drew Harris selected one of my work for their virtual art show called Resilience. So this year in March, and this project has been born. I've been a member of this art group since the last 3.5 years. So everybody heard about it, and I was talking to everybody. So I have artist friends all over the world who know about the stepwells. In fact, stepwell, the 3 books have been written by foreigners. One is Mona Livingstone, another is Victoria Lotman, another is Jutta Jain, Neuber. But somehow I feel it is written from a Western perspective. And they have studied the stepwell mostly of Gujarat and Rajasthan, not in Maharashtra, not in the south, or not in the So mostly they've selected a few area, and somehow I feel somebody, an Indian, should write a book on this, because the art and culture.
I hope the verse series encourages people to do that. When people see your work and people hear about you, they approach you and they travel with you, and a book comes out of it.
In fact, I may be writing a book. I have written a book proposal, but I am not saying much about it. Once it's out,
we'll have a discussion after the interview on that. But tell me, these step wells that you do you know of any step wells which are still in use as a step well, or are they all heritage sites?
In Maharashtra, there's one step well at this is near one of the Ashtavinayakas, Morgaon, where the water was used for cultivation.
Oh,
yeah. Okay. So there are step wells in the villages where at least if they are not drinking it, they are using it for cultivating their lands. But some of the villagers actually don't know, what to do with the water, because the water is stagnant. There's the inflow.
They don't know what to do with the water. Sounds very strange.
Yeah. The water is stagnant. The inflow and outflow of the water has been blocked.
Right.
So it is just like it's stagnating.
It's like a normal well.
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
No, it's a normal water body where the water is stagnating. It's stinking. And but still, Loni Bhapkar, when I went, I saw turtles swimming in the water, and which represented that the water is clean. So I have gone to the
scope for biodiversity.
Yeah.
Right.
I have gone there 3-4 times. So during the hot summer months, during monsoons, during December, and I saw the water level rising and going down. But people still follow rituals whenever there is a deity at the step well. They follow rituals. But some of the step well, like Hathi Bharav in Ahmednagar near my place, there just post the Share or Ganpati, they immerse the god into the step well, and then it gets dirty. So there are many walkers and many people have tried to adopt the step well. They clean it, but the upkeep has to be done. So we have to have agency by the locals, where they will adopt and they feel let them feel proud that such a beautiful step well.
Taking ownership of that heritage.
Correct.
That's what you're saying.
In fact,
sorry, go on.
In fact, in Loni Bhapkar, just outside the step well, when you enter it, there's a beautiful statue of one of the avatars of Vishnu, the Varaha avatar, the boar, where inscriptions are there. But of course, the mouth of that statue is gone, sculpture is gone. Now you have the similar kind of sculpture at the National Gallery in Delhi.
Okay.
So I wonder, why was it placed there? Is it a part of the step well? And beautiful sculptures.
Water conservation is at the heart of this entire project, I'm sure. And we are in a situation where global warming is not just a reality, it is hitting us hard, and it is hitting us much faster than expected. So your message, let's end with this interview with your message to the people, to the world at large. How do you think your art, what message can your art give to the people regarding the conservation of water and of course the upkeep of such step wells?
I think, Indians should feel proud that we have such kind of structures only in India. Like, it happens only in India, like incredible India.
Yes.
So let's take care of it. We don't have just the Taj Mahal or the beautiful structures that we are proud of. We have also these water bodies which were used for by caravan travelers. They were used by women, where each step well, the woman used to feel very happy that she has to go to the well to fetch water, because she'll meet her friends and they will have their chit chats. It used to be community spaces, it used to be cultural centers, and there was a thriving ecology or a community surrounding the step well. And when you are traveling in a dusty road and then you suddenly come across a step well, and you suddenly feel that it is like an oasis in the middle of a desert. The whole area is green, it's vibrant. You won't believe, we were traveling, we wanted to see the Brahmani stepwell at Ahmednagar. It was built by a king from Karnataka. So he traveled all the way from Karnataka. So the architecture is very similar. So when we went, the Google map took us to a place where there was no stepwell there. People were just preparing food for a local community festival. So I asked them, where's the bharav? That is the Marathi word for stepwell. So they pointed it out. So we literally had to go through the village and kept asking people, and they were like surprised. And why do you want to see the bharav? Nobody comes here.
They don't know the significance of it.
Right?
And
just behind the cow or the buffalo shed, when we parted the leaves, we saw this beautiful, amazing structure. It is like going back to history. That place is crumbling. So I stood in that. There's a pavilion at the side. I stood there, but the guide, the local caretaker, said, "Please don't stand. It might fall down." There was an ancient temple nearby, so all the sculptures are like lying on the earth. I feel bad, like this can be, it is so precious to us. Like conserving water. I mean, there usually is a well in most of our.
World War will be over water. We are warring over water. You just talked about your driver who talked about having to buy water in the village, which is so sad, which is so tragic. So in a world that we are living in now, this is so important, this message of conserving water and conserving such structures for our own heritage and for us to understand our history better.
Yeah, so I'm trying my best, and I would request people to buy my paintings, because I would like to see my paintings in art centers and tourist centers and homes and hotels. So let the message go across, because when I talk of stepwell, people say, what is a stepwell? And some people say, like, if you have seen the Rani Ki Vav, you've seen them all. No, you haven't seen them all. Each is unique. Even a small stepwell has its own uniqueness. In fact, I can go talk for hours.
Yes.
I really can talk for hours.
Because you have done so much research, so much academics on this. So I think, thank you so much, Rashmi, for taking us through that journey of yours. And I would really like to appreciate the passion you bring to the table when you talk about it.
Thank you.
It's very, very palpable, very, very apparent in your work. And I do hope that your work and what you're doing is seen by more and more people, and people realize how important it is to hold on to history, to learn from it, and also to understand how you can use modern science to conserve the atmosphere, the environment, and also keep something lasting forever. Like the stairwells have been there for centuries, and here you have modern architecture crumbling within a few years. So so much to learn, and of course at the heart of it is the whole issue of water conservation. Thank you very much, Rashmi, for speaking to us on the Verse series, and I wish you all the very best for your future endeavors.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me on the show.
Thank you.